What's up guys, Thomas from FT86 Speed Factory, and today we're going to do things slightly different. Usually on this channel we talk about how to make your car faster and look cooler, but we're doing something that's often overlooked by enthusiasts. So today we're talking about everything you need to know about maintaining your FRS, BRZ, or 8.6. First things first, most of the information you need to know is right here in the warranty and maintenance guide, and this is probably hiding somewhere in your glove box. For us, if you open to page 37, this is where the beginning of the checklist starts, and it covers everything all the way up to 90,000 miles, and this is a great quick reference, or you could just rewatch this video. So let's get started. Now, starting with the most frequent maintenance, we have oil changes, and this should be done every 7,500 miles with 0 W20 weight oil and a new oil filter. I've already done a video on how to change your oil, and you can click right here to watch that, but all you need is 6 quarts of oil, a new oil filter, a 12mm wrench, and about a half an hour. Now, at the same time that you're doing the oil change, you also want to rotate your tires to extend the life of the tire and even out the wear. Now, to do this, you would take the rear tires and bring them up front, and you take the front and put them in the rear, keeping the driver's side tire on the driver's side and the passenger side on the passenger side. Now, this is only going to work on a square setup, meaning that you have the same width of tire in the front as you do in the back, but if you're running a staggered system with wider wheels in the rear, this isn't going to work so well. But there is another way to maximize the tread life of your tire, and this is really helpful if you're running an aggressive setup and you're running down one side of the tire faster than the other. On this tire, we're running the outside of the tire a little bit more than the inside, so what we do is we take this tire off, put it on the other side of the car, so now the old outside of the tire is now the new inside of the tire, so you have a whole nother side of the tire to wear down. At the 15,000 mile interval, you'll want to replace your cabin air filter, and this traps all the dust, pollen, and debris from blowing through your vents, and this is especially important if you or your passengers have allergies. But fortunately, this is very easy to get to, and it's right behind your glove box.
Chuki beat.
Now, when it comes time to choosing a replacement cabin air filter, you can always go with the OEM Subaru option, which is not a bad choice, or you can go with K&N's washable cabin air filter, and this will last the lifetime of your car because it has a 10-year, 100,000 mile warranty. Moving on now to the 30,000 mile interval, we'll want to replace our air intake filter, and if you drive on a gravel or dusty road frequently, you'll want to inspect your filter every oil change because a dirty air filter is going to reduce horsepower and lower your fuel economy. Now, to gain access to your air filter, you want to undo these 2 clips, and then we're going to unscrew the clamp on the intake hose. Now, when we're choosing a replacement, again, we have 2 different versions. We've got the OEM version, and we also got aftermarket high flow filters. This one in my hand is from HKS, and most aftermarket filters are going to give you about 5 more horsepower and a little bit more induction noise. Now, you also want to keep in mind, if you have a 2017 model with a manual transmission, you have a different intake system that takes a different air filter. So if you're shopping for a 17 filter, you'll want to make sure that you get the right one. Also, every 30,000 miles, you'll want to flush your brake fluid. Now, brake fluid is hydroscopic, which means that it absorbs all the moisture in the air, and moisture in your brake lines is not good to have. Now, the biggest thing that it'll do, it'll lower your boiling point, and it may lead to rusty brake lines. So every 30,000 miles, make sure you flush your brake fluid. The only exception to that is if you take your car to the track. You'll want to do this more frequently. You'll also probably want to use high temp brake fluid, like this stuff from Motul or Project Mu. This Project Mu brake fluid actually changes colors once it's time to change your brake fluid. Now, every 60,000 miles, you'll need to replace your spark plugs, and yes, it's a boxer engine, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but it's still doable. Now, you'll also want to know that coil packs do go out every once in a while, and the guys at the track have found that sometimes they do fail at higher RPMs, so it's one thing you want to keep in mind if you drive your car hard. In addition to replacing these spark plugs every 60,000 miles, if you have an automatic transmission, you'll need to change that transmission fluid every 60 as well. But if you have a manual transmission car, it really only needs to be changed if it's dirty, and the inspection time for that is every 30,000 miles. And for the rear diff, it's about the same process. You only need to change it once it's dirty, and the inspection period for that is every 15,000 miles. But when it does come time to change those oils, I made a helpful how-to video, and you can click right here to watch that. Now that we're on the subject of transmissions, here's a maintenance tip that's not found in the manual. On the back of the FA20 engine, there's a oil passage that sends oil to the automatic transmission, but if you have a manual car, that just gets blocked off with some RTV sealant and a basic block-off plate. Now that RTV sealant doesn't do a great job and it's prone to leaking, especially if you're running boost, racing at the track, but it can even happen if you're just doing some normal daily driving on the street. Now to fix that, we've got a bunch of aftermarket options that use O-rings to give a proper seal, and all you need to do to fix this problem is to throw one of these onto the back of your car and the problem solved. Now once we get to 75,000 miles, the fuel filter needs to be replaced. And I go through each step in the fuel starvation video, but essentially you need to remove the rear driver's seat, and under there is an access panel, and through that you can grab the fuel basket, and inside there is the fuel pump, and the fuel filter is right underneath the fuel pump. Now this all might seem complicated at first, but it's much easier than it sounds. And while you're in there, you might as well upgrade your fuel pump, and you can throw in the flap that fixes the fuel starvation problem by keeping fuel in the basket when you're doing hard left-hand turns. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll link the video up right here. These are all the key components that need to be replaced on a scheduled basis. However, there are some components that don't have a set time to be replaced, and they should be inspected regularly for wear. At 7,500 miles, you'll want to check the brake lines, the brake pads, and the brake rotors, as well as the wiper blades. At 15,000 miles, you'll want to inspect the axle boots, make sure the exhaust system is still up there and everything's on the hangers. You'll want to inspect the steering system for leaks and make sure the reservoir is full, and inspect your ball joints and dust covers. Then at the 30,000 mile mark, you want to check your engine coolant, you want to check the fuel tank gasket, make sure the parking lines are in good condition, as well as the fuel lines. If you guys have any questions on maintenance for your FRS, BRZ, or 86, feel free to send us an email or give us a call. Down in the description, I'll link all the maintenance products that we sell on our website, or you can head directly to our website and search it yourself by clicking right here. Now if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit that like button down below. This is Thomas, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Maintenance guide, and this is probably hiding somewhere in your glove box. It's Friday. It's 4 o'clock. Give me a break.